Hello everybody and welcome to week 4 of Ignite Imaginations and Sheffield Library's Summer of Creativity. I hope you're all having a wonderful summer of reading some great books and keeping creative. So today we're going to be creating our very own board game, Monster Pot Pitch, with our artist Karen, and you're going to make some really cool and crazy monsters. Now let's see if I can score some points here.
I'm Karen from Ignite Imaginations, and today I'm going to show you how to make Monster Pot Pitch game. But first of all, I'd like to introduce you to some of the monsters that I've made and that you will be making too. So we've got the fire-breathing dragon, we've got Feathers McGraw, I've got Salty Sorcerer, Curly Crackers, Starwing, and my personal favourite, Hairy McScary.
So to play the game of Monster Pot Pitch, you need to give each of your Monster Pots a score, depending on how difficult they are to get a ball in or how far away they are. Take turns to throw the ball to see who can get the most points. Oh yes! As you can see, my throwing skills are not as good as my making skills. Think I need a bit of practice here.
So you can use all sorts of containers to make these monsters, just containers lying around the house. But what you have to be careful of is that the opening that you're going to put the ball in, because we're going to be throwing the balls in, is big enough for the ball. We're going to be making the balls later, so they need to be able to go into the pot like this. So you could use cereal boxes, it'll go in that one. You could use egg boxes, you could use it open like that, it could go in there. You could use tissue boxes, so it could go in the top like that, or you could lay it on its side and it could go in there. These are good because the ball will go in there. You could use a paper cup, a yoghurt pot, because the openings are big enough. You could use a cream pot, an old baby cream pot. For Salty Sorcerer, I used a salt pot and wrapped some paper around him. This is a cream crackers box. But whatever it is, you're going to need to do an opening. You might want to do a sideways opening. Now to do that, what you could do is you could cut down like this and cut a bigger opening, particularly if the top part of your container isn't big enough. You could do a container like that so that it could go in front ways. So choose a container, but as I said, make sure that the tops are big enough to throw the ball in that you're going to make. As well as all the containers that you've chosen for your Monster Pot Pitch game, you'll need some basic supplies. So maybe some coloured paper and some plain paper or card. A pair of scissors would be really useful. If you haven't got coloured paper, then some magazines, some coloured magazines from some supplements will do fine. Some newspaper. You'll also need some sellotape and some masking tape, maybe double-sided tape if you have some, or glue spots. Some pencil crayons or felt tips if you have them. Some coloured straws for decoration, perhaps some bottle tops to use for some eyes, or some coloured stickers, it doesn't really matter, or even if you've got googly eyes, then you could use those as well. For decoration, you could use wool, or you could use feathers, or you could use some pipe cleaners and chenille sticks. It doesn't matter if you haven't got those, paper will be fine. You can do lots of things with paper and card. Once you've chosen your containers and you've made sure that they're clean and they're safe to use and that they're empty, it's time to start decorating them. If you've chosen a cylinder like this or like this one, then you'll need to wrap it with some paper to decorate it. All you need is just a strip of paper the width of the cylinder, and you wrap it round and then just fasten it with a bit of sellotape or a sticky dot or a bit of sticky glue. And then you're ready to decorate it. So you can add some eyes like that. You can add some hair. It's up to you what you do, it really is. Have some fun creating it. Remember that the container needs to be wide at the top, because if we're going to be throwing balls in them, it needs to be that wide. Now the balls that we're going to make are made from newspaper. So you just need to tear a piece of newspaper in half, crunch it up really tightly, as hard as you can, and then use some masking tape to wrap around it like this, squashing it all together, tear the masking tape off and then roll it in your hands like this. And there you've got a ball. So what we're going to do is, you can see I've tidied the hole up a bit and made it a little bit bigger than it was, because I didn't think I'd get a ball through there because my aim's not really very good. So I'd like to make some sort of feathery bits to come out here. So I want them to be symmetrical. So I'm going to fold a piece of paper, and with my scissors I am going to cut some feathery bits. And I'm hoping that that will fit like that. It's not quite narrow enough, so I'm just going to cut a bit like that. So there he goes. That's going to go like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a glue dot. You could use some Grit Stick, or you could use some double-sided sellotape. I'm just using a bit of a couple of glue dots because they're nice and easy and quick to show you. So a couple of glue dots on there, and we'll stick that in there. So it's going to slide this in like that, and there's his feathery eyebrows, look. And then what I've done is I've cut circles, squircles really, because they're ovals and they're not really circles. There's a little tip, if you want to cut two of anything, just fold your paper in half, cut two things at once, it just saves you some time. So I've cut, as you can see, a grey circle, a yellow circle and a white circle, and I'm just going to top those on there too. One eye, another glue dot. Now I've put him so that he's got one eye up and one eye down. It's another little tip to make him look a little bit crazy. What we're going to do now, we're going to use these pipe cleaners. So I'm going to put some pipe cleaners, just turning it towards me, and I'm going to use these for some more feathery bits. So I'm just going to twist them together like so. And then you can start to arrange them. There. Now, if you want to make these twisty, another little tip, if you get a pencil and you wrap round, you can start to make them all twisty. So I'm going to do a little bit of that. Twist them round, twirl them round, like that. There we go, he's already beginning to get a bit of a character, isn't he? So what we're going to do now, I'm going to give him some hair. So if you're going to make hair, I've got some wool. You could use paper strips. I'm going to wrap the wool round a lid. You could use a piece of card, but I'm just using a lid because it's nice and handy. And wrap it round and round and round until you get it the thickness that you want. Then cut it. Get another piece of wool, slide it off, tie the wool like this, looping it all together in one big mass. Put a knot in it, look, like that, tight. That's not even any reason to cut it. And then cut it at the bottom on the loops, and then you've got some hair. Give him a little bit of a haircut there. Here's another one that I did. So I've got two bits, and I'm going to stick them either side of him And I'm going to put some glue dots all the way around the top. So you can use double-sided sellotape, or you could use a bit of sellotape or masking tape just inside the neck, but I've got some glue dots, so I'm just going to stick it at the side so you can see his nice hair. There we go. There's my milk bottle monster. So the ball will be able to go into his mouth like that, and that's one. For the second monster, I'm going to use a tea box. It's got a nice wide opening, but I've also cut an opening here because I thought it would be much easier to get in. I'm going to cover it with some black card, but also I found this magazine advert and I thought it was great for our monsters. So what I'm going to do, I've backed it with just an old piece of packaging, and I'm going to cut it out. So let's just cut it out, cut that off, and then I'm going to cut into the tricky bits. And I thought it was good for a back monster, this advert, perfect for the background. So I'm going to stick that onto the back here like this, but first I think I'll need to cut a bit off. So I'm just going to measure a little bit, cut the shoulders off, and then that will go just like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some double-sided tape and I'm going to stick it onto the back. There we go, there's my back monster. I'm going to give it some little, it's a car advert, but I'm just going to give it a little funny smile. So I'm going to get a glue stick and stick the little mouth on. But the headlights of the car just look like monster's eyes, so I'm going to leave that. I think that looks perfect. Now you could just leave that with the blue, but I think I'm going to put some black around it. So I'm going to get a glue stick. I've just cut this out to match the front and the back. So I'm going to stick this on, glue stick the sides, and I'll glue stick the front of the box. It's easier to glue the box than it is to glue the card. So I'm going to stick that on there, like that. So I've got like that. And then I'm going to stick the back on with your glue stick. And then you'll just need a piece for the side. There it is. And then it looks good all the way around. You could add a bit of black for this as well if you want to do. I'm going to add some arms. For the arms, I'm going to cut two. So again, if you fold it in half, it will be so much easier for you because then you can cut two at once. And I'm simply going to cut some claw-like arms. Now I'm going to cut into, if you can see, into the V. It's very easy to cut into the V rather than go all the way round. So I've got like that, and then if you want to just taper it off at the ends, and again I'm going to use my glue stick to make some arms from the side. So I'm going to glue down here to put one arm on, and I'm going to glue down here to put another arm on. Fold the arms round like that, and then I've got my bat monster. There's my bat monster, ready for the ball to be thrown in if you're a good shot, which I'm not. So there's the bat monster. For the next monster, I'm going to use a cereal box. I think that the gorilla on the front is a great idea to use the monster. So what I'm going to do is to cut round and save the front of the cereal box, and then I've got the front. Now it could be just fine just like that, or you might want to wrap it. I want to wrap mine round, so I've got a piece of black card. It could be paper, it could be any colour, it doesn't really matter. A long piece of card, and I'm going to wrap it around the advertising bit. I'm going to use a glue stick to stick it down. So there we go, we've got that. So I'm going to give him some hands now. So I'm going to get my glue stick out, and I've cut just out of some thin card some grey hands. You could use magazines to cut it out, whatever you like. There's his hands there. He's got 2 hands, and I think I'm going to give him some monster whiskers here. So I'm going to use some straws for this. I've got some fancy spotty straws. Doesn't really matter which straws you've got. Mine are paper. I'm going to put double-sided on the back and then just peel it off, and that will give me a chance to put his whiskers on. So 1 whisker. So I'm going to have 2 blue ones, and then I'm going to have symmetrical green ones either side like this. So I've given him some whiskers. You could put some hair out of the bottom. I'm going to put some spots on his front. So he's the spotted shreddy monster. These are just sticky spots. So you could cut some shapes out. You could put stripes, zigzags. It's really up to you which you put. I think 1 more at the bottom. There we go, spotted shreddy monster. So the last monster that I'm going to show you how to make uses an egg box. I thought that the egg box looked a bit like a frog. So I'm going to make it into a frog monster. Now there's no hole in the top, so I'm going to cut one using this hole, putting my scissors through and cutting a big hole in the top so that the ball will go in the top. So nice big hole so that the ball will land in the top. So what I'm going to do now, I am going to use a bit of green paper. So I've got a green piece of paper. I've cut a nice sort of oval kidney type shape, kidney bean shape, and I'm going to use some glue dots to just stick that down onto the box. So that's going to be for his eyes. He's not like a frog at the moment, does he? But he will do. I've used milk bottle tops for his eyes. If you use the flat bit to glue on the front and then use the other side, I've cut 2 circles of paper and of red ones, and then 2 little slits for the black eyes, again out of paper, and it just looks a bit like a frog's eye, so I'm going to stick them on here too. A bit of glue and glue that on, and 2 eyes. He's beginning to look a bit like a frog now, yes? To make him look even more like a frog, I'm going to open it a bit like that so that you see his mouth. So I'm going to glue that. Now I am going to glue some glue dots for this because it's slightly stronger. You could use a bit of sellotape if you've got it, or if you've got a bit of PVA glue, you could use that. And I'm just going to stick that down like that so it looks a little bit more like a frog. I've got some feet, so I'm going to put some feet again out of green paper. I've cut 2, I put them together so that they were the same, and I'm going to put some glue on the bottom so that I can make some little feet. I'm going to put them slightly diagonally like that so that you can see my frog. Now I'm going to make a tongue. Now tongues, frogs often have long tongues, so to make it curly, it's very easy. You get a long strip, you wrap it tightly round the felt tip. So hold it with your thumb, wrap it tightly, round and round, as tight as you can go, tight like that, and then let go, and hopefully it should unwind like that, and you've got a curly tongue. Now on my tongue, I've just cut it slightly so that it looks a bit more like the long end of a tongue, and I'm going to fasten that in the front with a bit of glue. There we go, one frog monster, and the ball will go into the top like that. I've made 1, 2, 3, 4 different monsters. You can use any containers you want, and I expect you'll be really creative with the shapes. I used the shapes to help me decide what monster I was going to make, and I'm sure you'll be the same. You'll see a little box and you'll say, oh, that looks like a little frog, or that looks like a little dotty monster, or a flowery monster, or whatever it might be. So I hope you have fun. So here's some tips and tricks for reminding you how to make your monster. For making hair, there's lots of different ways. I'm sure you can think of your own. I used wool here. You could even make plaits. I showed you how to stick it down. You could use curled paper. Remember, wrap it round a pencil. You could use pipe cleaners, twist them into any shape you like, or you could use straws. For sticking, use PVA glue or Pritt stick or sellotape or masking tape, whatever works for you. You can draw your own monster mouths. Here's some ideas. So you could just draw them on some paper with some felt tips or pencil crayons. If you want to make a beak like this one, like the one that I've got on here, the way that you do that is to make a square piece of paper. Square piece of paper, and then you fold it into a triangle. You get the two edges, you fold down slightly, cut off the edge, fold them down like that, and you've got a bit of a beak. And then that way, that bit can be glued on to a container. You can have fun with eyes. You can use stickers, you can use magazines, pieces of paper. You can draw your own. So you could have swirly ones, spirals. You could have stars, cut them into shapes. You could have fierce ones. Remember that the way that you slant your eyes depends on how your monster looks. It gives it a fierce look, or a surprised look, or a penetrating look, or an insect look, or a frog look. So thanks for watching us. Don't forget to check out some of those monster themed books that Sheffield Libraries are recommending at the end of this video. And tune in next Tuesday when Annie will be showing you how to make your own monster catching wacky inventions. Bye for now.